I've got this killer up inside of me. I can't talk to my mother, so I talk to my diary. I'm going off on the deep end.
What's going on, peeps? Coming at you today, making another video. I've been trying to make videos on my progress and keep everybody updated on that, but I've been dealing with a lot of personal stuff lately, and it's just starting to build up, and it's starting to get to a point where you get frustrated, even when you try to be the humble person, the nice person, the polite person, the respectful person that you always try to be. Even though you try to be that person, it just feels like sometimes the universe just keeps testing you and testing you and testing you. And sometimes I just, I can't help but think and wonder. And I'm not coming here looking for sympathy today. And I'm going to try and stay on track and not get too distracted and off track from what I'm talking about. Again, like I said, I'm not trying to look for sympathy. This is just more or less me dumping on you guys and hoping that this reaches the right eyes and ears, and people just start making a difference. You know what I mean? Like, empathy is free, sympathy is free, like respect is free, understanding is free. Like, I just feel like we're so lost with everybody's differences. We forget that we're all human. We're all here trying to do the same thing, man. We all just want to be happy and prosper, happiness, health, and prosperity, right? That's what everybody's looking for. And like, I just feel like we've gotten so far away from it. And I feel like if this touches even one person in the right way and gets people to respond in the right way, we can all start making a difference in our own lives and those around us. And every day I go out into the world, and I'm not trying to touch everybody in a way to where I'm changing the world, but I try to be respectful and see people for who they are. And I just feel like so often nowadays people at their jobs are just like, well, that's not my responsibility, or whatever the case may be. And then you get a person like me who ends up falling in between the cracks. So again, not trying to get too far off track. I'm going to try and just jump into it and let you guys know what happened here. So 2 weekends ago, I was running low on catheters, so I reordered, and I understood it was the weekend and it was probably going to be, Monday before I heard anything from the third-party company that I order my catheters through, which it did happen. Monday rolled around, and I got an email and a text saying, hey, we got your order ready, but because it's been a year, we need a new prescription from your provider in order to fulfill the order and get it shipped off to you. There's no need for you to take any action at this point in time. We've already reached out to your provider. Cool. They're taking care of it. I don't need to worry about it, which in my mind is how it should happen, right? They're a third party. They need a prescription order refill. There's no need for me to necessarily be involved in this situation, especially with technology and the way that things are and should work nowadays. So 2 days go by, and I get another text and email saying, hey, we're waiting for a refill on your order. We've reached out to your provider and haven't heard from them yet. There's no need for you to take action. Well, at this point, I've learned my lesson with shit like this, and I knew that I needed to step in and take action, and I'm glad I did. Unfortunately, it turned into a week-long fucking escapade of me trying to track down which doctor and which system at which hospital is the one who actually made the original prescription order for my catheters. So I start calling around, and unfortunately, where I ended up in Chelsea is a dual hospital. It's a U of M and IHA hospital. So the doctors that I was seeing, I'm already part of the IHA before my accident happened. So a lot of the doctors I was seeing were from one to the other system. So whether it was U of M or IHA, but they were all seeing and getting the same information. How do I know this? Because they would sit there and talk to me about being at the last doctor and the information that doctor was giving me. So I know that IHA and the U of M system at least have some kind of communication with my information to where they know what's going on from one system to the next. So I start hunting, trying to figure out which doctor it is. And I'm calling out to, I'm calling the IHA system. I'm calling the U of M system. I'm calling out to Chelsea. I'm calling out to Jackson. I'm trying to get a hold of anybody and everybody. And it took me a couple days. And then I finally realized, you know what? I should just call my primary doctor and have them refill my prescription for me. So I get a hold of them Thursday, and they tell me, yeah, we'll go ahead and get the order put in for you, whatever, right? So I get a hold of them Friday, and like, hey, I understand you guys are putting a prescription in for me. I appreciate it. This, that, and the other. And they were like, well, we actually need some information from you on the catheter side. So I gave them all that information and then asked if they had any catheters on hand. Because I'm getting to the point now where I like have a day or two left. And they didn't have any on hand. So they told me to try reaching out to some of the other places. And I figured if they could get the script filled and turned in, that my shipment would get sent out and hopefully I'd have enough. So Saturday rolls around and they get back a hold of me, my primary does, and they're like, we need the fax number for the company that has your catheters. I'm like, damn, this is one of those things, like, if they know through the system where the catheters are at, you would think that they would be able to know what phone number or fax number that business utilizes to be able to contact them. So they're reaching out to me to see if I have a phone number or a fax number for the third-party company that has my catheters. And I'm like, well, no, why would I have that? I have an email, but that is just a generic email that lets me know when it's time to reorder and when my order's been shipped out. And then same thing with the text messages. They're just generic. They come from a generic number. So I don't have any kind of other communication outside of those generic messages, aside from the two that they sent me about trying to get a hold of my provider. But I have a feeling that that is probably something that is also automatically generated when something doesn't happen, not necessarily the person is involved, which is part of the problem with what I'm explaining in all of this, is that we've removed so many people from being involved in a situation that people like me fall in between a crack, and then here I am complaining to you guys about it. So then they're like, okay, well, we'll try and figure it out. And I was like, well, while I got you on the phone, let me look it up, right? Because how hard can it be? So I fucking literally look it up right there while I'm on the phone with the woman, and it was like, this is the phone number and the fax number that I can find on the internet for that company. Again, I don't know why I had to be involved in this situation and why somebody couldn't have done what I just did. Aside from the fact that there should be something in their system that has their phone number and fax number. So I'm thinking, okay, good. It's taken care of. So that's Saturday. Of course, doctor's office isn't open Sunday. Monday morning, I'm kind of sweating at this point because Monday I'm done. I'm out of catheters. So Monday morning, they get a hold of me and I'm excited because I'm like, okay, they're taking care of this. Maybe they got some extra catheters that they've been able to locate for me on hand. We're sorry. We actually cannot fill your catheter order. Your primary is not the person who refills it. So you have to get a hold of either your neurosurgeon or urology. And I'm like, God damn it. So now I'm being brought back into the situation and having to figure it out for myself. So I immediately call IHA Urology because I used to be a patient up there, and I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And she was like, well, you're a new patient. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm a new patient? I've been up there, my doctor was so-and-so. And they were like, oh, well, has it been 3 years since you've been here? And I was like, let's pause right there. Can you help me immediately in this moment? Yes or no? She said, no, you would have to be filed as a new patient. So I got off the phone with her. I got a hold of somebody at U of M and talked to somebody there, and they were supposed to call me back. Well, I'm not just going to sit around and wait to hear back from somebody. So I figured in the meantime, I actually reached out to the rehabilitation center that I was at Chelsea, the hospital in Chelsea there, and tried getting a hold of somebody there, and unfortunately the number's disconnected. It's not the correct number. I didn't realize that at first. So I then get a hold of I'm like, you know what? I've been doing all this running around trying to figure this out myself. I actually called the third-party company. I wish I would have thought of this sooner. I called the third-party company. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And they were like, yeah, we've been trying to reach out to your provider for the last week. So this has been a week now. They've been Monday to Monday. I refilled it, like I said, that weekend, and they tried to fill it that Monday. So this is now a week later, Monday. And they're like, we've been trying to reach out to your provider for a week and have not been able to get any kind of response. So I'm like, can you give me where it's at, what hospital, like what system? And they're like, no. And they're like, all we could tell you is who prescribed it. And I'm like, that's all I need at this point. I just need a name. So they gave me the name of the provider, which is one of the providers that was out at Chelsea Hospital. So I then called Chelsea Hospital back on that same number, and it rang and rang and rang, and somebody finally answered, and they asked if I was trying to reach the rehabilitation center. And I said, yes. And they were like, unfortunately, that number is disconnected. And I said, well, is there a way for you to just connect me to that number? So she connected me, which she didn't. I got connected directly to some doctor's office, and I kept trying to ask them questions, and they were confused, and I was confused until we finally figured out I had been connected to the wrong number. So I then asked that woman if she could connect me, and she said no, because they were an outside doctor's office. She's not sure how I got connected to them to begin with. So she actually gave me the number of the doctor's office that I needed to contact, the one who prescribed my catheters to begin with. So I finally get a hold of the doctor's office that prescribed me the catheters to begin with. And they tell me, oh, he's not in right now. And I said, yeah, I know that. They've been trying to get a hold of him for a week and have not gotten any kind of response, whether it was a phone call or email or whatever it was. They have not been able to get any kind of response. I said, I don't understand how there is not a system, a program, a protocol, something that is put into place so that when a doctor is not in, this falls onto an assistant or an aide or another doctor. This workload, prescriptions, like this is not a pill that I can go a day or two without taking, maybe a week without taking. These are catheters. This is how I urinate. I cannot not urinate. It's a whole nother story, a whole nother issue, right? So I need these catheters. So, I'm unloading on them and explaining like, this is ridiculous that I have to be the one to now get involved in this situation. And they're like, oh, well, we'll get it taken care of. And this, that, and the other, we'll have somebody call you back, which again, I don't know why somebody has to call me back, but they do. Luckily, after I get off the phone with them and I feel a little bit of relief that I've been able to unload on them, although the fact is that it falls on deaf ears because that person probably sat there and didn't listen to a damn word I said in one ear out the other, and they're not going to make any kind of changes about it. So I get off the phone. Luckily, U of M had called me back at that point and said, we can get this prescription filled for you ASAP. We'll be willing to take care of it. You need to get in and see the urologist because I when going through the whole system at the rehabilitation service, I saw a urologist at that point. So luckily, because I had seen that urologist within a year, they were able to fill my prescription for me. I just had to come in and see her, which I have no problem doing. The worst part about this is I get a phone call the next day from the doctor's office that originally prescribed the catheters and then didn't respond to the third party for getting the script filled. And it was some woman who called me to apologize. Now, if any of you saw my last video with the Delta situation, if there's one thing I can't stand is well, first of all, it's liars, but half-ass apologies. Like, calling me and apologizing for something when you don't mean it doesn't mean shit. Just because you're apologizing doesn't mean that it's over. Doesn't mean that the situation is okay. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't be trying to do better. And there's one thing that I've learned from raising kids is that there's teachable moments. And this woman began to tell me what I can do next time to make sure that this situation doesn't happen. And that's what set me off with Delta. And that's why I made the Delta video is in the long run, you fucked up, but you're telling me what I can do to make the situation better next time. I went out of my way and handled it where a patient necessarily shouldn't be involved in this. At some point in time, this prescribing doctor should have had this passed off. The urologist should have somehow taken over at some point. There should have been some kind of crossover. There should have been some kind of protocol or program to where this, first of all, doesn't happen so that I don't fall into cracks and I'm fucking scrambling to get catheters. And then secondly to that, me as the patient shouldn't be the one that's collecting my information from one doctor to make sure that it's getting to another doctor to make sure that I'm getting what I need, especially with technology being the way that it is nowadays and everything being interconnected. And like I said, I know that the communication is happening between the systems. So for this entire thing to happen blows my mind. But here I have somebody telling me what I can do to make the situation better. And everything she was saying irked me because it's exactly what I did. I'm the one who got the information. I'm the one who called around. I'm the one who handled it and made sure. So to hear that was aggravating. The previous day, Monday, after getting contacted back by U of M and them being able to fill my prescription for me, I asked if they had any catheters on hand that I could come and get an emergency stash, just enough for a day or two just to get by, right? Which I think is weird at a urologist office. Both IHA and U of M urologist office don't have catheters on hand. No, sorry, we don't have anything like that on hand. So I have to now, at this point in time, try to figure out how and where I can get my hands on some catheters because at the end of the day, Monday, I'm done. I have no catheters left. So I ended up finding a medical supply store that's about a 20-minute drive from me. Ended up driving out to, first of all, I called up there to make sure that they had my size catheters on hand, and they did. So thankfully, they had my size. So I drove all the way out there, get my catheters, get all the way back to the house, and I sit down the next time I go to cath. Luckily, I still had 2 caths left from my previous batch. And I sat down and I grabbed the new box that I bought, and opened it up. And when I opened it, I realized the catheters are not lubricated. So I can't use it. So I luckily was able to use one of the 2 other catheters I had left, and was able to cath, and immediately called the supply store back and said, hey, I didn't realize I was in there, that I bought unlubricated catheters. Is there a way that I can exchange this? Knowing that I probably couldn't, because once you buy medical equipment, even if you don't use it, they won't take it back, which I think is something that's messed up about the medical industry. And they tell me, well, we don't even have lubricated catheters, but we do sell the lube. So that's where they get you, right? I had to buy the catheters and the lube. They didn't come all in one. Now, the price of them wasn't anything that was ridiculous to where I'm like, oh, fuck, man, that's, breaking the bank. The fact that I had to come out of pocket to purchase catheters is what really irritates me. So knowing that I now have to get lubrication, I'm like, well, I'm not driving another 20 minutes all the way back out there to get the lube. So I looked into what can I use that's sterile to be able to cath with. And it turns out just regular old KY. Anything essentially that's like a water-based lubrication, anything that isn't Vaseline-based, so it has to be water-based. The problem with that is most stores around here, they don't sell individual packets. They sell tubes or like jars or tubs. Not jars, but like tubs or tubes of the lube. And unfortunately, I need single use in order to keep it sterile. I can't keep grabbing and reusing the same container. Having to drive 40 minutes round trip twice to get catheters, after having to try and solve this problem over the course of a week, and then having the woman contact me and tell me what I can do to better improve the situation, is just all things that, again, just get me to where I'm at here, which is why I'm here, again, venting to you guys. I don't know what I could have done better in that situation because I'm the one who solved the problem, but to have somebody call me and tell me what I can do better when the improvement should have been on that end. And I made sure before I got off the phone with her, and I told her too, I said, I want to make sure before I get off the phone with you that you understand this. And this is what I was talking about, teachable moments. This is a teachable moment for you, your office, and the entire medical industry. Like they're supposed to, she did admit that there should have been some kind of system put in place and that there is, and that this should never have happened. So again, like if there is a system put in place, where was it at? If there's a protocol that happens, why didn't it happen? If this isn't supposed to break down, how did it? And then the fact that it broke down and you're telling me it's my fault when I'm the one who solved it, and you guys should be the one that are taking steps and procedures to make sure that this kind of shit doesn't happen again. Because this isn't on the patient. I shouldn't be the one solving these kinds of problems. And being on the hook too. Again, it wasn't anything that broke the bank, but I shouldn't be on the hook for having to pay out of pocket for something that's already being provided to me and I'm paying insurance for. So like, if everybody could just recognize that you can always do better. You can always do better. And I'm not even saying that I'm perfect or right in the entirety of this situation. I'm just saying that I know I had to get involved and solve the problem that I shouldn't have had to have solved in order for me to get the things that I needed. Luckily, when I got a hold of U of M on Monday, they put a fast order on it, and I got my catheters by Wednesday. So I went the rest of Monday, all of Tuesday, and into Wednesday using those other catheters, the ones I had to lubricate myself. I had to use those for about a day and a half before my other catheters finally showed up. I don't know where we go from here. Again, all I can ask is that this falls on the right eyes and ears, and hopefully, like I said, even if just one person, if it inspires you to do better, to try and do better, to understand, to be sympathetic and empathetic to somebody else's situation. I always try to give somebody the benefit of the doubt until they prove me wrong, and then I can make my decisions or judgments from there. But a system like this that's supposed to be in place and isn't supposed to fail patients, especially ones like myself who are in a situation like I am, it makes it difficult to have faith and believe in a system, especially one that's supposed to be as good as the American system is and claims to be, right? The fact that I continue to just keep having these kinds of breakdowns, and it's aggravating that I have to keep coming here and making these kinds of videos and venting to you guys about it when this shit shouldn't be happening at all. I just hope we can do better.
Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow.